work and school have defined my life. You know, that's what I've been about, uh, and family too. You know, when I went to the National Writing Project in the 80s, I began writing extensively with my students, and so I have many pieces that I've written about work and family and school, and it goes on and on. And I'm 80 years old now, and something that I'd like to do is collect some of those. And so that's why I signed up for this class, so that I could explore that possibility. And so the piece I'm going to read to you today, I read in my group last week, and they gave me some really good ideas. And it's called A Teacher Learns a Lesson. My husband Kenneth and I were excited to be moving to New Albany to teach in 1965-66, only 30 miles from our parents in Tippah County. After college, we had begun our teaching careers in 1962 in Kosciuszko. When Dr. Bryant Smith called us about coming to New Albany, mainly because I had some experience in teaching speech and in play directing, we were thrilled. We had a little 3-year-old daughter, Sherry, much loved not only by us, but also by her grandparents. We knew we would have their help in emergencies. I would teach 3 classes of 11th grade English, a 9th grade English class, a speech class, sponsor the drama club, and direct the senior play. What was I thinking? With this heavy load, I quite literally hardly had time to lift my head from books and papers the entire year. We hardly knew anyone in New Albany except one former teacher of mine, Mrs. Ann Hickey, who had taught me home economics in high school. She and her family had moved to New Albany when her husband returned from military service. She helped us find a basement apartment in the North Haven area of New Albany, and the best babysitter for Sherry ever, Mrs. Angie Rutherford, the owner of the home in which we lived. She had grandchildren of her own and was like another grandmother for Sherry. Even though I was extremely busy, Sherry had wonderful days with Chick, Mrs. Rutherford's pet name. The reality of dealing with my schedule was much less romantic than I had imagined before trying it. For example, in my 5th period English class of 11th graders were 3 16-year-olds who tried my patience, to say the least. Bobby and 2 of his friends, John and Phil, swaggered into my class right after lunch, performing for each other, and possibly for me, since I was only 25, not much older than they were. They loved to make funny noises, to whisper to others, or to sleep after class had gone on for a while. By Christmas, Bobby, the ringleader, was failing all of his courses. Was it any wonder? His whole life was centered on making his friends laugh. At the end of the first semester in January, when first semester grades went out to parents, my principal, Mr. Buddy Chain, appeared at my classroom door after school. "Mrs. Quinn, please plan to stay after school tomorrow. Bring your grade book, because Bobby's dad would like to meet with his teachers to discuss his son." A father-teacher conference would be a rather new experience for me. After all, I had only begun my teaching career 3 years before. I had talked to some parents by telephone. A few interested parents had shown up to run their children's schedules and meet the teachers, and a mother had been to see me. But a dad? I did not know what to expect. I dreaded that afternoon almost as much as I dreaded 5th period every day. I checked and rechecked Bobby's work and the grades I had given him to be sure I had made no mistakes. At 3:15 p.m., we teachers marched into the principal's office, armed with grade books ready for battle. Mrs. Kitchens, the principal's secretary, asked us to be seated in a circle, to include the father. There sat Bobby's dad, whom I fully expected to attack me verbally. I had rehearsed what I would say. Bobby pays no attention himself, and he distracts others to the point they cannot pay attention. I was surprised. when instead of attacking us, this neat, professionally dressed man in a black business suit seemed totally sad and apologetic. As each of Bobby's teachers shared their problems with his son, I thought this concerned father might cry. When my turn came to talk, I told him about my problems with Bobby's lack of attention and behavior. I remarked, meaning it, "I feel like such a failure with your child." His response is something I have never forgotten. "Mrs. Quinn, you have at least 100 students, don't you?" "Yes, about 120 actually." "Then you have many other chances for success. I have only one son." I understood exactly what he meant. When I returned the next day to my 5th period class, I saw Bobby with new eyes. Bobby was now a distraught father's only son, not just a bad student that I must endure. I looked for new ways to challenge Bobby. I talked to other teachers and counselors to see how they handled him or students like him. In college, I had made excellent grades in my psychology classes and in courses in classroom management, but I immersed myself anew in the books on these subjects I still owned. They suddenly seemed irrelevant now that I had actual students. I found many new books, many new tools rather, to help all of my students and to improve as a disciplinarian. Best of all, his father kept a close eye on his work. Through all of our efforts, Bobby was able to pull up his low first semester grades and pass for the year. He even went to college, entered the ministry, and became a youth pastor. Years later, I learned about his death from cancer and grieved for his family's loss because I had witnessed firsthand their love for him. This father made a difference in many, this father made a difference for many students in my future, not just for his own son. He taught me to look at my students as someone's son or daughter and to treat them as the special people they are.